Hey, this is Kyle Crawford from Strong Dads. Strong Dads podcast would love to thank the Crimers Beer House for coming alongside of us. The Crimers Beer House was started in 1982 by the Crimer family, and since that time, they have definitely become a Cincinnati favorite. So if you're looking for an incredible meal in an incredible setting, definitely go down to Route 128 and check out the Crimers Beer House.
Welcome to Strong Dads. This week we get to come into my domain. We are in my workshop. What's up, Kyle?
Not much. How are you?
I'm good. What are you doing wearing a hat in the gym? I mean,
is that not allowed?
You're breaking the etiquette. There. Now you're looking bad.
Is this? You really don't do hats in the gym?
Well, it looks like you're. Yeah, I don't.
Is that
whatever?
That sounds like a Linda rule. Is that your rule?
No, let's come to work, okay?
I'm ready.
Let's come to work.
I'm here.
All right. So we're doing our skills series here. Last week, hopefully you had a chance to listen in as we were in Kyle's domain. We were in your workshop.
I was a little more comfortable there. I'm a little worried here, bro. This might be bad.
Well, this is my shop. This is where I like to work out. This is our gym that we have set up in our Rock Solid Family's office space. So we do personal training here as well as regular fitness classes about 6 days a week with different things. But today we are going to walk through some basic skills.
I like it.
That we use. We have a unique piece of equipment here we call it the finisher. And the finisher is something that I created, actually came to market in 2012. And so we've been doing this since that time. And it's kind of grown because of its functionality, and it really teaches people how to work through motion in a different way. Sort of kind of like you showed a progressional step in the joinery in the wood shop. This kind of helps people see how their body actually does motion. So we're going to actually show some of that today.
I like it.
We're not going to do a full-blown workout or anything like that. We're going to break down some of the basic patterns of movement so that Kyle sees clearly what they're doing.
How out of shape I have a confession to make. I've heard about the finisher. I heard Merle and Linda talk about their workout program they do. I have never set foot in here to actually be.
No, he's totally green. Totally green.
This is my very first time ever even standing at this table. So this could be. I'm sure I have a good instructor, right?
You'll be just fine. You'll be just fine. The one thing I think I can promise you is you're not going to cut your fingers off in a saw or anything.
Okay, that's good. So it's very smooth here. There's no rigid edges. So yes.
So let's start with some basic things. Okay. So movement is actually something that is very simple, but it is something that gets complicated because it's fluid. It's changing, and people usually don't like freeze frame movement patterns, okay? But exercise or movement really comes from 4 different moves. And we can talk about planes of motion, the sagittal and the frontal and the transverse and all that, but just to keep it simple, we're going to talk about the areas that our body is moving out of, okay? So we have a very simple move, and the simple move is what we call on the table a push-pull, okay? So push-pull is
grab both?
Grab both,
all right.
Okay? And you're just going to get in what we would call an athletic stance. So you've got a slight bend of the knees, feet a little bit wider than shoulders back. And the push-pull, we're going to direct it out of his first movable joint. And the first movable joint with power behind it will be his shoulders. So this would look a lot like a bench press and a row. So push the weight out and pull it back in, okay? So keep driving that a couple times. So that's a push-pull, and this body needs to stay stationary. So don't move your hips or anything, okay? So that's just a push-pull, and that's just movement out of the shoulder. But what if I said you can't use your shoulders anymore, but you still have to do the push-pull? So essentially what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to lock your arms.
Okay.
I'm going to lock your arms, so I'm going to take that joint out of the picture. It doesn't get to work anymore. Your body is naturally, you always talk about the idea that your body will adapt. If you ask it to do a job, it's going to do it. It might do it differently than somebody else based off of how their body frees up and moves. Okay? So let's just say your shoulders were injured and you couldn't use them, but I said, well, you still have to do that push-pull. The next movable joint is actually your hip.
Okay.
Right? And so I want you to move the weights in a push and pull, but you only get the flex and extend out of the hip. Okay?
Okay.
So lock the arms and now move the weight forward by, don't bend the knees.
Don't bend the knees.
Don't bend the knees. Okay.
I'm learning here, guys.
Okay. And now stand up and drive the hips in. Keep the arms locked. And so now you're doing a hip flexion and extension. Okay. So we're basically still doing the same motion on the table. So if somebody walked into our gym, they wouldn't think that he did anything differently. But he completely removed the shoulders out of the process. This is a way that we can exercise the body. And like if I do have somebody with injury, I can say, hey, you got a shoulder injury. We don't want to mess with that shoulder yet, but let's keep moving. And so I would just transfer the motion to a different place. Let his hips do the work. Okay?
Now, is this something as you progress in your skills, like because it's similar to a workshop you're in there and it's very new to you. Is this something you have found over time of doing this? Because right now this feels very awkward to me.
Yes.
Is this something as you progress, you start to develop and it starts to become more of a natural movement for you?
Right. So ultimately, we'll get to that point where we blend the body, we blend the arms and the hips and the legs to get the job done. The thing that people tend to do though is where they're not very good or weak, they tend to not do that. Okay. So like let's say bending over and picking something up. If I'm not very good at squatting, I'll tend to just always do it out of the hips. And I'll keep my legs straight and I'll just always bend out of the hips. Okay. And I forget that my legs could help me go down and do that motion. Okay. I end up overstraining or working all of the hip stuff, and I don't use what I could use, and that would be the legs.
That's a good point. Okay.
So we'll transfer down now, lock the arms.
Okay.
Now lock the hips. So now I'm not going to let you move your hips, but now you're going to do the same motion. You're going to do a push-pull, but now you only get to do it through the legs or a squat. Okay. So go down into a squat and back up, back and forth. Good. And so now you can see he's doing the push-pull again, but now he's bending his knees. His hips naturally are going to flex just to accommodate the squat, but it's all coming through the knee, okay?
So this one feels much more natural to me.
Right.
Than the bending over. And you're saying that's most likely from just, that's just what's more comfortable to me in everyday life.
In your firework and stuff, you've learned a long time ago that you go down with your legs.
Yeah.
You go down, you pick up with the legs, which is the legs are the strongest part of that motion. Yep. Okay, that's why we work that squat. But there's probably plenty of guys that maybe don't feel as comfortable, maybe don't have the mobility in the legs, and they tend to bend more through the back. Yeah. And so we want to make sure, okay, wait, are you setting yourself for injury?
Yeah.
Okay? So that's a progression of push-pull through the shoulders, push-pull through the hips, and then push-pull through the legs, through the squat. There's one huge part, though, that starts to glue these together, and that's called your transverse or your rotational movement, okay? So just to demonstrate, I like to demonstrate with just one weight, all right? So this is where you have all your swing sports, your throwing sports, where you're kind of coiling up. So think of it like a spring, right? Okay. A spring, and you're going to unravel that spring or release that tension to throw or to hit or whatever you're gonna do. So you're going to do a simple swing, and you're only going to get to use the arms. So just lock the body down and swing the weight back and forth. Okay? Don't move.
My back already cracked. Is that bad?
911, please. You're good. Okay? Look forward.
All right.
Okay? And so I've actually seen guys golf like this. Big guys, big old arms, and you think, oh my gosh, this guy's going to hit the ball a mile. And they have just an arm swing, okay? Yeah. And so I even want you to slow down even more. Just look forward and just move just the arms. Move the weight. You see how weak that is. If it's just the arms, the arms are not that strong, okay? All right? So the next thing.
My arms?
I mean, in general, in general. So the next thing would be, okay, I need to learn how to incorporate the hips with the arms in my swing. So what we do here on the table, and the table is perfect for this because it gives people a reference point. Your hips right now are parallel to the table, okay? Yeah. But if I can then teach you to come over like so. Now I want you to rotate just for the sake of what we're doing. Look at his hips now are at 90 degrees. So basically it's like a spring. I just coiled the tension into the spring, which is his hip. Now I've got a lot more muscle involved and engaged. Now uncoil and start with the hip. Yes, good. And now the hip is starting the swing. Okay? Now the hip. So let's do a few of those. Hip. So you'll hear me say in a class, I'll say hip, arms. So hip, yes, boom. And hip, yes. And so now you can actually see it's almost like a slingshot where he's coiled the hip and then he brings it back. So now look at the power that I'm getting in terms of the muscle recruitment from the hip all the way up through the shoulder.
This feels like a golf swing.
That is a golf swing.
I like this.
Yes. That is much more the golf swing because the golf swing has our legs much more stationary. If I were going to add this to like a punch, okay, which is a swing essentially, or even a baseball bat swing, I'll incorporate my legs. Okay. So that means let's coil over to the right side. Let's drop down into our right leg a little bit. So bend in, okay. Now when
Still locking my arms?
Yeah, you can keep your arms locked on this just for the sake of the demonstration here, okay? Now, when you go to push, you're going to start to push with the foot, uncoil the hip, and bring it all through. So now I'm using the legs and the hips and the arms to power through that swing, okay?
Okay.
So now he's using his legs back and forth like so. That is a powerful swing, all right?
Yeah.
Now, we don't use that typically in golf because it's harder to control that one.
Sure.
You're trying to hit that little ball,
right?
And so that would get really sloppy. Have you ever seen, like in some of the longest drive tournaments when they're playing around, where they actually kind of take a step up?
Yeah, they almost jump up,
Yeah, so they're actually kind of incorporating a baseball bat approach by using their legs even more than what we would do typically on the golf course, just because the more I incorporate, the harder it is to control. So I've got to take all that into context, okay? So the last thing we're going to show is really one of my favorite movements that we use on our table, because when we can get to this point and do it well, I can actually quickly identify how athletic or unathletic somebody is, and I can also figure out what part of their body is just not cooperating well.
Sure.
And so we do what we call the figure eight, okay? So do me a favor and start to make a figure eight pattern on this board, okay? So he's just rotating the weight in a figure eight pattern, all right? Now right away, I will see quickly whether somebody's right-handed or left-handed dominant. Our right-handed people will make a really sweet reach out across their body with their right hand because it's natural to come across that way. And then they'll make this little chicken circle over here on the left side. And that's just, okay, we want to work on some symmetry here, okay? So now keep that going, all right? Now
this is locked arms still?
I want you to lock the arms, and so you're going to have a very small, keep your body still.
Okay.
So now he's got a very small, tight figure eight, and it's just through his shoulders, okay? Now I want you to bring your hips into it. So when you reach out, I want you to flex into the hip, okay? So lay out on the table. Now, keep your body still, okay? And just act like you're laying out on the table. Yes, like that. Now drive your hips in. I want to do it even more.
Okay.
Reach out, boom, and stand up. Reach out. There you go. So now look at the hip engagement that he's getting with that.
Very awkward here. I'm not good.
It's awkward, but it was awkward for him before using his hips, okay? So that would tell us that we'd want to work on more hip flexion and strengthen that area, okay? Now, let's incorporate the arms with the hips and the legs. So that means I want you to come out, but I also want you to go over that knee. Yes, now he's got a nice flexion in his knee, and when he comes out of that knee, he's going to push out of that knee and drive to the center. Make a circle. Be fluid. Be fluid. Good, good. And come over and get into the knee. Nice figure eight, nice figure eight. Okay?
Oh boy.
So now we talk about this. This is like a speed skater. Now you're on the ice and you're pumping from leg to leg, and you're allowing your body to work with you, not against you. You're not being rigid, you're in the motion. Okay? So you just went through 4 different patterns of motion that we generate out of our body. Athleticism is when we learn to incorporate all of those things.
I like it.
This is not we're not talking about strength building. Okay. We're talking about movement, and here's the key. The table carries the weight. If you try to do what we were doing by moving patterns, by carrying the weight, okay, so pick that weight up and just act like you're doing a push-pull.
Okay.
All right? Now, I've completely messed up actually what the movement patterns are. Yeah. I've got a compression on his spine because he's got the weight, but I'm also overloading the shoulder, and I'm not allowing the shoulder to work at a free motion like I would, like if I'm throwing a punch. If I'm throwing a punch, I'm not throwing a punch with a weight, right? I'm actually learning to throw the punch with the body. And so that's why the table is so important when it teaches us how to move correctly. And then the weight actually creates resistance through space. So changing the direction back and forth constantly. If the weight's going this way, the only way it can turn around is if I add the force to do it and change its direction. And that's what athletics is all about. Moving your body through space. You know, there's a place for lifting heavy weights. I'm all about that.
Sure.
But typically we think lifting heavy weights is going to make us more athletic. No, lifting heavy weights makes us stronger. Learning how to move our body correctly and control it, that can make us more athletic.
Gotcha. Good stuff, man. This is good.
There you go.
I've learned that I'm out of shape in this little short excerpt here. I've already learned I'm out of shape. I need to probably do something about that, Merle.
You know what? We better thank our sponsors.
We should.
We went through our whole deal and did not thank our sponsors.
Man.
We want to thank the Crimer Beer House for sponsoring Strong Dads and everything that we do here.
Did you almost say Rock Solid Family again?
I almost did, man, because, you know, that's.
You definitely should not say that, Merle.
And also, we better thank Casey's Outdoor Solutions for all of their support and what they do for us. So please check out those places. Tell them that you listened to or you heard their ad on Strong Dads, and just continue to spread the word. So we thank you for that.
Yep. And now we're just like we did in my shop. We're gonna go sit down. We're gonna talk a little bit of stuff about being a dad.
Let's do it.
It'll be good stuff. Stay tuned, guys.
All right. All right. You all right?
I'm good.
You breathing okay?
I got a pot of coffee and a workout in now. My day's set.
Yeah. Wait, you can hardly call that a workout.
That wouldn't work out?
No. Oh my gosh. This is what we work with.
That's my workout.
You're good for the month, aren't you? Yeah, you did your monthly workout. All right, so we are now going to move our skill set development into the dad conversation.
Yeah.
So here we are. We're still in the gym. We apologize for any echo of the quality of sound, but that's what you get when you're in a gym. So suck it up, brother.
I think most guys get that, right?
You get it. It's what it is. So don't be
shop talk, right?
Stop whining, right?
Yeah.
Just listen.
We do need our coffee.
I know. Well, we don't.
This might be the first show ever.
We're not stopping. You're in the gym. You need.
In the gym, we should probably have water.
Water. Or
okay.
Water. Forget it. You didn't work hard.
There's water and coffee, right?
Yeah. Let's. So last week we talked about our skills in our marriage as husbands. Okay. This week we're going to talk about skills of being a dad.
Yeah.
Skills like how do we help our kids ultimately be successful, happy, be productive in the people that we're hopefully grooming them up to be.
Right.
Okay. And so we're gonna go out on that today.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll challenge you a little, but hopefully you'll understand why these skills are so important.
Right.
So the first thing. This is something that parents fight about more than anything else when it comes to raising kids. The first thing, vision and goals for kids are not even established. Yeah. You've got to establish, you and your wife cannot assume that you both have the same vision of parenting and the same target that you're shooting for. just because you even came from the same type of neighborhood or background. You can't assume that you have the same vision. And so Linda and I see this all the time, where you come in and the parenting thing has already gotten ugly, and they're arguing about, well, I don't think that that's the right thing that we should be doing for our kids. It's like, wait a minute, what is your vision? Like, what do you want for your kids? What kind of vision do you and Jen have for your kids? Like, if you see where they're going to be when they're, let's say, 23, 24 years old, what kind of girls you want them to be?
And this is a conversation Jenny and I think to your point, this is very important. Your vision is not set in stone. Like, you can have revisions to that vision.
Yes.
As your kids grow and develop. Like, when Jenny and I decided to start having kids, we had a vision for what we wanted our house to look like. How we wanted to structure our house. Mommy and daddy are our relationship is the most important. You guys are secondary. But, a very welcome part to our family. And that vision that we have set up, it has grown and developed. Now that we have 2 kids, that vision, we've had to adjust it, having that introducing a second kid into the family. We talk all the time about our girls, that life sometimes just isn't fair, and we just have to adjust and we have to adapt. We control the things that we can control. But I think by setting a vision up for your kid, and not just having that vision that, Jenny and I, we talk about the vision for our girls, but we communicate that to our girls. Hey, these are the things we want for your life. We want you to love Jesus. Like, we want you to love Jesus. We want you to go out there, be kind, spread, be disciples, to your friends, and then when we're in this house, like, be real. Like, that's something Jenny and I stress all the time. Like, we're not going to be fake around each other. Like, you are who you are, and that's okay. Like, God made you that way. So I think it's really important when it comes to our vision that we understand that as your kids grow and develop, like, your vision needs to grow and develop with that.
Yeah, I mean, that's perfect. And the whole idea of, if you ever worked with somebody and maybe you have a vision, like if I came in your wood shop and we were going to build a table, and in my mind I had a vision for how I was going to walk through it, and in your mind you had a vision, and the next thing you know, we'd either be crossing paths or bumping heads. And so when we go in there, if I'm going to work with Kyle on making that table, it's better for us to say, well, let's make sure our visions match. What's the plan for how you want to walk through this, okay? And so you made a good point, like, I want to share that with the kids too. All right, so dads, if you're out there, get the common vision with you and your wife. And by the way, it doesn't have to be your vision initially. That's where husband and wife come together and say, oh, well, what would we want? What do I want for that kid when they're 23, 24, 25 years old, when they're getting ready to walk out of our house? And so then we got to share it. And I mean, everything from pictures on walls, hanging a cross or a crucifix in your house, that's a shared vision. Like, in our house, we believe in that. We don't need to hide that. We don't need to guess. That is part of sharing the vision. Whether it's artwork that you have in the house, whether it's wording that you have in the house, whether it's sayings, whether it's just the talk that you have at the dinner table, the visions have to be out there so your kids know what you're working around. If you act like you're a Christian and there's not a Bible to be found, there's not. You can help your cause, guys. You can help your cause by just keeping those things out. So share the vision.
And with that vision, it kind of moves right into the next thing we want to discuss, and that's being a servant. If your vision in your house is to have Jesus as your example, for what you want for your family, man, we have to learn to be servant. And this is something that I'll be the first to admit, Jenny is a lot better at this than I am. Jenny takes our girls and they go out and they serve, whether it be like a Matthew 5 ministry or a local church, doing servant projects. But I think it's so important. And then even on top of that, teaching our kids that, you are a part of this house and you are a valuable part of this house. In order to be valuable, you have to bring something to the table, right? You have to be able to contribute to our family. And it's not just all, peaches and cream. You get to play with your toys and then leave them sit out all day long and expect mommy and daddy to come up after you and clean up. That we talk all the time, like, especially we just got out of our winter season, although it's snowing out again. Like, you don't just get to sled ride down the hill and then not bring your sled back up.
Right.
Like,
you don't?
No.
I need to remind my son of that.
That's like the goal golden rule when it comes to sled riding, right? And it's the same thing, man. You don't just get to play with your toys and not be expected to clean them up, and you start to teach those disciplines. You start to teach those things where you in this house are going to be contributing, and part of that contributing you have to serve.
Right. I think that's a great point, and that really starts between the ages of 2 and 3.
Yeah.
I mean, at the ages of 2 and 3, I'm already going to start giving my kids chores.
Yeah.
And I will always preference that with, hey, we need you to help with this chore or this job for our house, for our family. I want them to know that this is part of serving the bigger picture, and that's their house, because ultimately they are going to serve a bigger picture, and that's understanding the servant of the kingdom of God. So so that's at 2 to 3 years old, we're having servant talk in our house.
And Merle, what would you suggest? So say we have a dad out there that's listening, and he has a teenager who has never, maybe never really had those ideas that as a kid they should still be serving. Like what do you think some things we can incorporate now to help build on the idea? Because obviously, just like you said, when our kids are 25, 26 and are leaving the house, part of our vision for them should be to be servant leaders in our community. So what do you think are things we can do to incorporate now if we've kind of missed the mark in a sense? Because I don't think it's ever too late to make changes. So what do you think?
Yeah, so I mean, especially as we progress and the kids get older, instead of using the word servant, to me it's being a team player. Okay. So now my kids are 13, 14 years old kind of thing. So how are you doing for your team? Are you the ball hog on the basketball team, or are you leading the team in passing and assist? So how are you helping to make the team function better? And that's why there's sports and being involved in theater and plays or all these different things. What are you doing to make the big picture work better, right? So that's all based in servanthood. And so your kids need to see that value. Ultimately, it's going to be, what are you doing to make the company you work for better? What are you doing to make your own family better someday when they're older? So that whole idea, if your kids don't learn to be a servant, a hot word that is in our business of coaching and counseling is narcissism, which is just that single self-absorbed, focused, selfish person that everybody hates, that they're annoying and they're all about self. And I don't care how talented they are, eventually they really wear out their welcome and they're not fun to be around. And so our culture, when we talk about kids are so entitled today, and that goes on us. An entitled mentality comes from teaching selfishness and reinforcing it instead of no, what's that guy need before what you need? What's that guy need? And that's the servant thing. And that's why we start so young.
Yep. And as we continue to progress, man, the next thing, we actually talked about this in our show in my workshop when it came to dealing with your wife, is, man, the importance of communication. It's always going to be important. When we talk about that vision and we talk about being a servant or a good team player, man, we have to communicate those things. I mean, I think through everything we're going to talk about, I think communication is going to be vitally, vitally crucial. Like, bring your kids along for the ride with you and your wife, man. Communicate to them. Let them know what's going on. Obviously, it has to be age dependent. You can't just tell them everything, right? Mm-hmm. But I think it's so important. And on top of communicating and telling your kids what's going on, man, I think it's important the way that we speak in our house. And this is something that I continue to learn. Anyone who has kids knows that they repeat everything we freaking say, right? And good, bad, and different, right? And I'm learning that, man. My girls are sponges. Like, everything I say, they just soak it up, right? And then they're like, Daddy, why did you say that? Right?
Knowing you, I can see that's a dangerous thing. Yeah.
They said it to Jenny the other not too long ago. Like, Mommy, what did you just say? We don't say that word in this house.
I love it. So yeah, I love that point. Your kids are listening to you, but one of the things that I think is important too is communicating with our kids, but also teaching them the art of communication. We touch on this on a lot of different shows at different times because it is so important. If your kids are going to be successful in life, unless they're going to go live in a cave somewhere and never interact with anyone, they're going to have to learn to communicate. And that primarily is not through words. That is through so much more. Okay? And so one of the things that we learn to do is teach our kids how to read communication. Teach your kids how that when mommy walks in, within a split second, that kid takes the minute, again, because they're not selfish, they're going to be observing mom and how is mom's day. And they can learn to read mom's body language, her eyes, her energy, and that will help them decide how they're going to play out that encounter. You know, it's now a good time to ask for a toy or a treat. Yeah. No, mom just slammed her purse on the counter. Yeah. Not a good time to ask, okay? But kids get themselves into muddy waters, or we get upset with them because, you know, we haven't done a great job of teaching them how to read. How to read and communicate. So that's a neat part, and I think that we missed the boat on that. Be very clear here, communication is not based off of how well your kids do at school. I see parents trap themselves in the idea of, my kid should be smarter than that. He should know better than that. He makes good grades at school. No, communication is a skill. It's a skill, and you have to teach it. And you have to teach your kids how to not just use words, but how to interact and read the language of communication.
Right. And this next point, man, this is really important to me. Man, our work ethic, when we talk about our kids, man, I want my girls to know that daddy works really hard for our family. But on top of that, I also want my girls to understand and see that I prioritize my family, and my work will never come above my family.
Right.
And so, and I think it plays into it because, you know, when you commit to something, when you commit to doing something, you know, Jenny and I are dealing right now, you know, I'm getting out there and I'm teaching a little bit about firefighting and trying to teach the upcoming firefighters. And Jenny and I have been looking at our schedule and say, if I commit to teaching, what am I gonna miss out on? And so as much as I want my girls to see that I have a great work ethic and I work hard for my family, I also want them to know that my work-life balance, my family is top priority.
Right.
That it'll never come above my work. And it's been a balancing act, trying to
right.
balance everything. But again, I think our work ethic and the way we portray that to our kids is so very, very important, because if we don't portray that work is important, work is going to be important, especially as men. Man, we're called to work. Like, there's no way around it. I truly believe God calls men to work. And that, again, that doesn't mean you're out in a factory, you know, swinging a hammer. That could mean a number of different things,
right.
different types of work. But I think it's very, very important for us to show that to our kids, that work is important, but also with that, like, we have to prioritize our family life and our time away from work.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And I think work ethic's very important. Work ethic is them learning how to take care of themselves, them learning how to take care of their family. I always think of work as, you know, work is doing what you don't want to do and finishing it and doing it. It's like sticking with it. If something's easy for me, you know, then that's not really work. Like, you know, it's like, no, I'm enjoying this. I could do this all day. But work is just that idea of, okay, the end result is more important than me getting through the muddled, ugly part of this right now. But I have to stick with it. And so that work ethic teaches your kids to persevere, to work through the challenging times. When they do run into roadblocks and stumbling episodes, that they don't just throw their hands up and quit, they persevere. And so teaching your kids the value of work ethic is a lifelong skill that will never do them wrong. But I like what you said, the idea of then understanding the actual outside work and how that interplays with the family. And so I want to take work ethic outside of just what we do for a living, because it's also, I might not be working a lot. Oh, I'm going to go home and spend time with my family. Does that mean I'm just laying on the couch watching TV? Right. That's a terrible work ethic. Right. When you're at home, you work on the family stuff, the home stuff. You show that that's important.
Yeah, for sure. Man, along with work, something that I think is learned, at least for me, is the idea, you know, and this is something I want to portray to my kids and continue to teach them, is the idea of discipline and what that looks like for them. And it's something you would say, which I think is so cool, is discipline equals freedom. And I remember growing up.
Got that from Jocko Willink.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, yeah. I'd like to take credit.
Oh, okay.
But no,
I was trying to give you credit.
Yeah, I think he wrote a book on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I remember growing up, my mom and dad, they said I had a curfew. I had to be in at a certain time. And over time, I developed their trust because I knew I had to be in at a certain time. And that didn't mean I was leaving where I was coming from at that time. It mean I had to be home at that time. And because I developed that trust with my parents, then they were like, hey, these two friends that we trust, whenever you're with them, you don't have a curfew. You can stay out. But because I had proved myself and I developed that discipline, I got freedom in return.
That's right.
I got to go out and I could obviously, I'd be like, hey, Petey, hey, Randy, what are you guys doing tonight? I want to go hang out with you guys because I can stay out as late as I want, right? But I proved to myself, or I proved to my parents, and I got their trust because I was disciplined. I didn't leave the movie theaters at midnight when I had to be at home at midnight. I knew I had to leave the movie theaters at 11:30 to get home by midnight.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, that's what it actually is, because trust comes from being disciplined. Yeah. And trust is the foundation of all of those future relationships that your kid's going to be involved in. And so the whole idea, I always tell my kids, I'm going to discipline you now with the hopes that you're going to self-discipline. Yeah. Because, if your teenager is angry all the time because you continue to rein in on them with more discipline, the simple question is, when are you going to start disciplining yourself so I don't have to do this? Like, I do not enjoy disciplining my kids. They think I do. I don't. No, it's like I have other things I'd like to do. So when you discipline yourself, you won't have me around you constantly, trying to pull you through something. So teaching your kids, hey, listen, you take this job away from me. Discipline yourself. I don't need to do it. And when you do that, you will have more freedom because of the trust that was built up.
For
Good
sure.
stuff.
Yeah.
We need to wrap up, but with the most important thing that we're going through today.
Yep.
Launch it. Do it.
Yeah,
you got it.
So, I mean, man, through all this, the thing that should be evident in everything that we do is going to be our faith. Again, this is not just saying that we believe in Jesus, not just saying that we want to be a man of faith, but actually showing that to our kids. It's so easy to say one thing and then do something else. We were just at the dinner table talking about being a hypocrite. We were reading the scripture about being a hypocrite, and we can't be that. Like, our word needs to be our word, and we need to follow through, especially as men. Man, we're called to be bold in our statements. So if you're going to make those statements that you believe in Jesus and you want your home to emulate that, then showcase that, then do that, have that faith. Teaching our kids to have faith in something they can't see is hard.
Yeah.
Kids are so visual when they want to touch things, when they see it. And so to teach faith and to teach who Jesus is a difficult task. But man, it is so worth it. Yeah. It is going to be so worth it for you in the long run.
Yeah, we put it on the skills list because all skills are things that mean that you might have a level of talent for it, but they're all things that need to be practiced. And faith is something that has to be practiced. Yep. You can't just say, I believe in Jesus. That you have to practice that you believe in Jesus. You have to demonstrate, as you said. And life is going to throw enough tragedy and complex issues and problems at you that you are going to have to know how to practice that skill. If you say you believe in Jesus and all of a sudden your world starts to blow apart and you're wondering why you're in a panic or frustrated or angry, because when was the last time you learned how to give it away, how to put the burden onto Christ? And so that is the practice. And so it's very important that our kids see us doing that skill quickly and often, right? And to teach them how to do that. That, praying allows me to have calm. Praying allows me to have a more clear vision of what's important. It allows me to steer through the peer pressures and all of the world pressures that are keying in on our kids. Yeah. So these are things that we have to practice and we have to show our kids. Yeah. This is one that's hard, right? If you're not doing it, if you tell your kids this is important, but you don't demonstrate it, they're going to read what you're doing, not what you're saying.
Good stuff, man. I hope you guys got a lot out of some of the stuff we're talking about. I hope it maybe sparks some good conversations in your home with your wife, with your kids. Hopefully it sparks some good conversation Hopefully you guys got to enjoy watching me struggle, be on the struggle bus.
Get your workout.
While I attempted to work out for the first time in a while. But yeah, we really appreciate you guys. Stay tuned. We're keep putting shows out. We got another show on this kind of mini series on the skills. I think the next one's gonna be about just developing our skills as a man. Like, what does that look like? Let's get into that. Let's dive into figuring out, like, just kind of, taking the time to just be by yourself, just you and God, and really developing who you are as a man. I think these skills have been kind of fun. I've had fun.
Yeah, it's good. Hopefully you guys do get a kick out of this, that these are real guys here just trying to do life, and we all have our domains, whether you're running equipment or whether you're sitting at a desk, and whatever it is, that is a skill that you work on and you develop. But that whole practice of knowing the skills to be the man that you need to be the husband, the father, these are things that we just don't want to push off to the side like they're not important. So hopefully it's good. Do us a favor, share this show.
I need to do a better job of sharing the show.
You need to do a better job.
I'm going to start sharing. I got to figure out how to share it.
Guys,
I got to figure it out and then do it all the time.
I'm getting ready to fire you, okay? Getting ready to fire you. So anyway, share the show. Give us 5 stars. Go to rocksolidfamilies.org. Check out the Rock Solid Family webpage. A lot of good things going on there. Lots of resources and information. If we can help you out, give us a call, 812-576-7625. So we appreciate you guys. Keep cheering us on here at Strong Dads.
Heck yeah. Thanks so much, Casey Outdoor Solutions and Crimer's Beer House, for coming alongside of us, and go out there and meet some strong dads.
You did a little better on the table than I thought. You were more coordinated than I thought.
I look good. My posture is a little slumped over.
I'd like to welcome Casey's Outdoor Solutions as a new sponsor to our podcast. Casey's is a premier garden center and gift shop located in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Casey's offers a wide selection of plants, landscaping materials, home and garden decor, and gifts for every occasion. Casey's is committed to providing exceptional service, a unique shopping experience, and value to every customer. Stop in and see what makes Casey's so unique. Located at 21481 State Line Road, Lawrenceburg, Indiana, or call 812-537-3800. Let Casey's help you add beauty to your home.